All right, let's just jump right in, where we're going to unpack some of the most profound, mind-bending, and honestly, entirely liberating ideas about human existence. I mean, if you have ever stared up at the night sky and wondered what all of this is actually for, you are in the exact right place. We are going to look at this absolutely fascinating synthesis of ancient philosophy and modern science to kind of break down the ultimate mysteries of existence. Why do we live? Why do we struggle? And what is the actual fundamental reason behind all of it? It's the ultimate human question, right? Every religion, every philosopher, and honestly, probably every single person watching this has tried to answer it at some point, because it's a deeply natural instinct for us to seek out the why. We want a reason. We want an anchor.
That brings us to Section 1, the search for meaning and creating purpose.
You know, as humans, we are constantly trying to carve out some concrete meaning from life. We literally tell ourselves, I was born for this exact purpose. But what we heavily rely on as our fixed destiny is actually just meaning we've constructed entirely through circumstance. Think about it for a second. Your perceived purpose is incredibly dependent on the specific era you were born in, the society surrounding you, and the totally random situations you've encountered. Meaning isn't this rigid thing written in the stars. It's continuously shaped by your environment.
Moving on to Section 2, Existence as a Cosmic Play, the Eastern Perspective. Now, Eastern philosophy, specifically Hindu darshan, offers a radically different paradigm than what we're usually taught in the West. It introduces this concept of Lila. Basically, it's this idea of existence as a cosmic play. The concept here is that consciousness manifests itself into the physical universe not because it has some demanding, rigorous task it must complete, but simply for the sake of expression, for experience, for play. I mean, imagine the sheer relief in realizing you aren't here to pass some grand cosmic test. You're just here to be an expression of the universe playing with itself.
If you contrast these two views, it's night and day. The ordinary view we're used to, it carries this huge, heavy burden of a fixed destiny and an ultimate reason. It can literally feel like carrying a boulder up a hill, always stressing about whether you're on the right path. But the Eastern view of Lila replaces that heavy burden with cosmic play and expression. It shifts existence from being a rigid assignment to a creative sandbox. It moves us away from constant anxiety about our purpose and brings us into a deep appreciation of simply experiencing life.
Section 3, Physics and Relative Reality. This is where science meets philosophy. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, a cosmic play sounds really nice in theory, but what about the hard, cold facts of reality? Well, get this. Modern physics, specifically Einstein's theory of relativity, actually shakes up our understanding of an absolute reality in a strikingly similar way. Because the speed of light remains perfectly constant for every observer, time itself literally has to adjust to make the math work. Time stretches and compresses depending on your speed. And what this means is that every single person is experiencing reality from their very own center. Reality is not a single absolute stage that we are all just walking on. The universe literally adapts to the observer.
To put that into perspective, time literally runs differently when you're just walking down the street versus when you're riding in a car. Because you are changing speeds, time is ticking at a microscopically different rate for you than for someone just sitting on a park bench watching you drive by. Now, sure, in our everyday lives, these differences are fractions of a nanosecond, but the underlying principle, that changes absolutely everything. Reality simply isn't as objective as our brains trick us into thinking it is.
And this brings us right back around to ancient philosophy, because it perfectly aligns with the concept of Maya. Now, Maya doesn't mean the world is totally fake or that it's some cheap magic trick. Rather, it means that reality, exactly as we perceive it right now with our human senses, is not the ultimate fundamental truth. The manifested world is much more like a highly detailed dream appearing within consciousness. Just like modern physics tells us time and space are relative to the observer, Maya tells us that the physical world is a relative experience, not some rigid, unchangeable absolute. Which leads us into Section 4, Why do we suffer? Honestly, the deepest question. It's a completely fair and frankly, a really difficult question to ask. If this is all just a cosmic dream, if consciousness is just playing, why on earth is there so much suffering? Why do we experience grief, heartbreak, and really profound pain? It's a stark reality that touches every single one of us. And let's be real, a philosophy isn't very useful if it can't address the heavy, painful parts of the human experience.
Like, why wouldn't we just dream up a perfect paradise? Well, the hidden patterns within our own minds hold the answer. Suffering exists because intense experiences are actually what make life feel real. Think about it. pain, love, fear, joy, these are incredibly powerful vibrations that create that visceral, undeniable feeling of existence.
And here is where the whole paradigm completely shifts. The idea is that on some vast unconscious level, we might actually choose these experiences. Now, I know that sounds incredibly challenging, but think about how rarely we are actually aware of our own minds on a day-to-day basis. We can't even completely control our passing thoughts. If you start to observe your mind carefully, you start seeing these hidden patterns. You see how you unknowingly participate in creating your own reality, your own dramas, and your own obstacles. We participate in the dream much, much more deeply than our conscious minds ever realize.
This whole concept builds into something incredibly empowering. If reality is our participation in consciousness, we're the ones deeply responsible for shaping it. That realization completely flips the script. We go from viewing life as a punishment, something hard that is happening to us, to viewing life as an experience, something dynamic that is happening with us. Life stops being a pass or failed test, and it becomes a canvas you are actively painting on.
So, what does this journey to existential freedom actually look like in practice? Well, it plays out in this really beautiful sequence. First, we create and manifest reality. Then, we experience what we've created. Through that, we love and we suffer, feeling those intense vibrations that make the cosmic play feel so real. Eventually, we awaken to the reality that it is, in fact, a play. And finally, we peacefully leave. The absolute beauty here is that existence doesn't need some grand final meaning to be beautiful. The ultimate freedom lies exactly in the fact that it is wonderfully meaningless. You are completely free to just be.
We are temporary beings inside an infinite mystery. You really don't have to figure it all out. You are simply a temporary expression of an infinite mystery. And honestly, that is more than enough.
If you are the observer making the dream feel real, what kind of experience do you want to create? Because the wisest thing we can possibly do is to live consciously, enjoy the play, and ultimately let go peacefully. Thank you so much for joining me to explore these incredible ideas today. Now go out there and enjoy the play.
If you really like philosophy, comment down your thoughts below and subscribe to the channel as your support means a lot.